All right. Welcome, everyone. Hema, just to make sure I'm audible, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Yes,
Perfect.
Jimmy.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So, hello, everyone. Welcome again to another virtual meetup from MuleSoft. For those who don't know me, I'm Jimmy Atia. I'm a strategic advisor director with MuleSoft Customer Success Strategy and Architecture team. I have been with MuleSoft for close to 3 years now. Actually, next week is going to be my third year. So, yay, uh, very exciting long journey. I will be the moderator for the meetup today, where we will be talking about ACM adoption best practices. We also have a demo session where we're going to see the product itself. We also going to talk about the product roadmap, and we're going to have a Q&A session. And more importantly, we have three trivia questions for three winners from MuleSoft. More on that to follow just shortly. Today, I have a very special guest, Himalatha Bahadur. She is my colleague from the CSA team. And before I introduce her, let me quickly remind you with our safe harbor statement. So basically, what the safe harbor statement basically says is that you should make any purchasing decisions based on products that already exist today and not on things that we are planning for in the future. With that, let me turn the table to Hema to introduce herself. Hema, please go ahead.
Thank you, Jimmy. Hi, everyone. My name is Hemlata Bahadur, and I'm a technical architect at MuleSoft, and I'm part of customer success team in AMA region, and I've been with MuleSoft for over 2 years now. I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, Going back to the past experience, I have around 20 years of experience in integration space, working with various technologies and industry domains. And I'm here today to bring you some best practices around ACM. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Hema. All right, so this is the agenda for today. We will start by going through some implementation um, or like best practice of how to implement API community with the right approach. Then we're gonna touch on some use cases using the user-centered design, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the ACM operational model and how to build your API community based on your consumer needs and journey. Then we will jump to a quick demo, and then Hima will give us a quick overview about the future expectation and future product map. The last section will be trivia questions. I will be asking three questions based on things that Hema will be going through, and the first winner with the right answer will have a free training from MuleSoft. So pay attention, buckle up, and let's just keep your eyes opening so you can answer the questions correctly. And then lastly, we're gonna go through a Q&A session, and then we'll close up by announcing the trivia winners. Let me go through quickly through some Meetup logistics. So this session is recorded and a copy will be published to the Meetup YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search Alberta MuleSoft Meetups, you will find in maybe in a couple of days, you will find the recording of this meetup as well as all the previous recordings that we had from previous meetups from before. As you already noticed, all the attendees are placed on mute, so you will not be able to talk, but you can ask questions using the chat, and we encourage you to ask as many questions as you want, and I will collect them from the chat, and then I will ask them to him, and hopefully you can get your questions answered. Again, the trivia questions will be towards the end, so pay attention for that. And to answer those questions, there will be a slide for some instructions. Please wait until I read the question and read the four options or whatever number of options before you start jumping with the answer. And then the winners, as I mentioned, will get a free voucher, free training from yourself. With that, I'm gonna stop sharing, and then Hema, I'll let you share and pick us off.
Sure, Jimmy. Thank you. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, how many of you have already worked with ACM before? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Hema, there somebody's saying they cannot hear you clearly. So is there like are you using a mic or something? I can hear you, but maybe
Hi, Kasturi. Hi, Jason. Are you able to hear me? Should I be loud?
yeah, I think that's better, Hema.
Okay. All right. So, how many of you have already worked with ACM before? All right. I see a couple of. All right. Nice. 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 Deep dive into our agenda today. Let me ask you one question. What is a community? Some brief answers about what is a community? All right. So Jason has a audibility issue. Jimmy, he's able to hear you, but not me.
Yeah,
Is everybody else facing the same issue?
yeah, I think I can hear you, and lots of other people saying, yeah, it's you're audible for them.
All right. Maybe I'm not very sure.
No,
One
I,
person.
I think the majority hears you. Maybe Jason, like, try to maybe log out and come back in. Maybe that solves the problem.
Sure. All right. So going back to our question, so what is a community? Can anybody give a short answer about what you think about community?
I'm seeing an answer from Alexandra, a group of people that have a specific thing in common.
All right. Any more answers? All right. So I have seen only one person answering that. Let me go ahead and give you what community is, right? So usually API community is a space where all the APIs are made available and all the people from inside your organization, from outside your organization can actually benefit from those using those APIs. In other words, you can call it as a developer community as well. So to build such kind of a space for this high engaged API ecosystems, right? So MuleSoft has come up with the product called as API Community Manager, which extends MuleSoft's Anypoint Exchange, allowing organizations to build on top of their assets that they are already having and meet those expanded needs of a wider set of cross-functional stakeholders, including developers, partners, API product managers, other line of businesses users. So what this in turn translates to is, in a simple way, ACM is you can transform Anypoint Exchange into a more personalized digital experience for various stakeholders. Does it make sense? All right. So why do you think communities are important? Any answers? Alexandra, why do you think communities are important? Think of it just like your home community, right? You have your homes located and you have a community around it. You guys meet for festivals, you guys meet for some occasions, you kind of group together and discuss your community your home related issues and so on and so forth, right? In a general scenario. All right, to help each other working on same technology, to grow and learn from each other. Thank you, Jason. Sharing knowledge and exchanging information. Thank you, Murli. To help learn, share, support, etc. Thank you, Suresh. Awesome, awesome answers. Easy exchange, Kasturi. Reusable and reduce that redundancy. Right, right. You're all right. So API communities actually drive business expansion and growth, which opens the doors for new digital opportunities. Is that correct? If I translate your terms into more more formal and sophisticated terms, that is what it leads to, right? Like it leads to new developer digital opportunities. And one of the examples is monetization, if you have not heard before. So this is the whole reason why you need to implement your API communities with right approach, right? From the first. And in this session, we will focus on things that you need to know before you even start your API community journey, and what are the best practices around it. So remember that to establish a community overall, what you
Emma,
need.
we're still on the same screen. Are you changing screen or we're still
No,
on that?
no, I'm still on. I will get into the details later. So just remember that to establish the community, we need the APIs, we need the developers, we need the partners, we need the API product managers, we need other line of business users, so on and so forth. Agree? So let's now dive into our understanding what are the different types of APIs that are available and what role do they play. So, well, congratulations on your API community thinking about how you start your journey, right? Like for your customers. So, I would say not every API is same. Do you agree? Yes,
I
no,
agree.
maybe. Yes, no, maybe. Do you
Yes.
agree that not every API is same? Yes, thank you, Murli. All right. So there are different APIs. In our world, we call it as different groups of, we actually group them into three different APIs. One is enabler APIs, the other one is indirect APIs, and the other one is direct APIs. So enabler APIs is anything that contributes to wider technology and platform. For example, APIs that enable critical integrations. Indirect APIs are something which tend to be ones, for example, you have a customer order API and are not productized or monetized yet, for example, but they are essentially the ones that unlock your critical business functionality and capabilities. Direct APIs are something that you can see as you go from the enabler APIs to the direct APIs. They follow the approach of productizing the APIs. For example, you can have an actual API product, um, API as a product. And another thing is you will see as we go from go up the contribution to the business value, uh, then the business value keeps on increasing from enabler APIs to the direct APIs. So you actually don't want to expose every kind of API, right? It makes sense to have an API community to go around those productized APIs. And so these are some kind of APIs you want to expose, like direct and indirect ones. Just as an example, right? Indirect APIs, they really work well with internal communities only. Uh, like very well example, very well known example, right? Like Jeff Bezos in 2002 mandated that all internal services and capabilities be exposed as via APIs, where as one of the external community, a great example that comes to my mind is Twilio in terms of communication. They have built some APIs that they exposed uh, for their communication APIs. And of course, it came up with a price, but they kind of came up with a solution of chat converting to the communication with external users. So just to give you a better flavor of communities, right, that our APIs can have, uh, and it is also critical that you have users in the first place, right? Not just having APIs is enough, right? You need to understand that building a portal with just some APIs out there doesn't uh, make any sense, right? You need to have users who are using those APIs, correct? So who wants to build a community without any users, right? You don't want to do such kind of a thing, invest time in just building APIs, right? So let's understand some of the learnings of what works best and what doesn't work well when we talk about, yeah. So these are some of the ways that things work and things do not work. So thinking about user is very critical, as we mentioned in our previous slide, right? So always keep this in mind during our entire session, and involving the right people from the start, which means it's not just really thinking about the technical teams, but also the teams from the business side as well. So you can make sure that the community uh, is fit for that purpose. And if you don't have a project manager or someone, it's not a big deal, right? Ideally it is someone who is like a relationship manager or a line of business manager here, and it is important to have them involved right from the first, before you start with the community, creation of the community. Another thing is that we want to go into more in detail later on as well on what our vision is. uh, but having a vision also does matter before you start your API community journey. Next is thinking about defining the non-functional requirements. For example, having security in place, single sign-on in place, so on and so forth, even before you start that community journey. On the flip side, what does not work really well is not really thinking about the look and feel. You have the APIs, you have the users, but what if you do not have a portal out there which is not user friendly? Would anybody go ahead and use? No, right? Just like think about like your home community. Nobody would want to have, if the pavements are not paved well, you do not want to use it. So simply like that. So don't rush in building your community or setting up your community. That will not lead to success and not very likely to succeed as well. And similarly, if you want to replicate exactly what is there in exchange and what you want to put it in exchange, you you are not really thinking about the product, who is going to use it, right? If you're not going to think about who is going to use it, then there is no point in building the community again, right? You need to know who your audience is. I have a very beautiful thought. Yeah, let me put some APIs. I'm making some crafts at home. Let me build a community, build a portal out there. I will put everything in there. I want to now sell it, but now I don't have any audience who even use it. Now, what's the point, right? Now, I need to really know my audience. Who are my targeted audiences are, where who with whom I can actually sell these crafts to, right? No, Muhammad. It's not same as process system experience API layers. I'm talking about just the APIs, which are categorized into these three different direct enabler and indirect APIs, where some of the APIs are targeted for your internal users and some of them are targeted for your external users. Yeah. Does it answer your question, Muhammad? All right. So, thinking about audience is also you need to keep in mind, and also thinking about how would you structure, how do you want to structure your content, what your customer needs are, so you can help align to those goals, right? So all these things, if you don't do it well, then these things don't work. So we learned about different APIs. We understood what works well and what doesn't. Now we will understand different steps and time involved in developing and releasing the community. All right. So, in terms of what we are looking at in this session, mainly we are talking about the discovery and planning phase and all the different components or parts of it. We will briefly talk about setup and refresh. But here, I just wanted to highlight that these typical phases when you are running up to your release. Uh, so, roughly, you can sorry, so roughly you can see that you it will take around 8 weeks of your journey to start uh, discovering and planning, set up and refresh. It will take around 8 weeks of journey, right? But as we go as you just see, right, we can go ahead into the details of each and every step of this discovery and planning. So the first thing to talk about from discovery and planning is community goals and vision. Why is it important, right? So the best API portals that are out there, they have a solid vision and solid value proposition. So let me tell you, this should actually go even without saying. For example, it, it talks about what's the best company in the world, right? They just have a solid vision. Like for example, Apple in comparison to other tech companies, right? They have a solid vision, and that's why they are able to sustain. They have a sustaining model. Amazon has a sustaining model, and that's why they are in the market for some reason, right? They're known for that reason. So why aren't the other ones as much successful as them, right? So that again boils down to the vision. So if you're crystal clear in your vision, then you will be a lot more successful. uh, so here again we have few examples. For example, Visa, the power of Visa network is delivered as APIs, and if you need to help in terms of thinking about breaking it down, there are a whole bunch of different tools out there, right? Here is a reference to the value proposition canvas. It is to break down what is your product, what are the features, what is the experience that someone is going to get out of it, what's in it for the customer, so that you can really understand the needs of the customer and how that fits into the value proposition. Make sense? Cool. I'm acknowledging silence as yes. All right. So we talked about the vision. So the next step is to really think about the use cases or the user stories that you want to be delivered by your API community, right? And we will also start talking about how user-centered design is a fundamental part of it. Uh, so this is our next step, which is very, very important from the discovery and development perspective. So taking this nuance, right? If you build it right, if you if I build it, it will be great and consumers will come. That is not a right approach, right? I can think of several things, but the best and the much better approach is right from the start, include your consumers, include the whole bunch of different teams or the different roles who really know what will work and build along with them, and include them as part of the evolution as well, right? So you you can do your market research enough, you can understand the requirements of your users, and that will make it more easy and more compelling when you build your portal, right? Because if you don't understand what they want, then what is the point? Correct? So now you have your vision in place. We talked about the importance of a consumer. So what next? So as you're thinking about how you can drive your API consumption or delivering your products and APIs and other things, always, always, always keep consumer at the center, so that because consumer is the key person or the key people who are actually consuming your APIs, and that is the key to cultivating the thriving ecosystem. And beyond that, I just want to talk about embracing openness as well. It might be a little scary or out of your comfort zone, but it is really fostering an environment where your internal and external developers can start collaborating. They can create new products, improve the experiences, and this is all really evolving, right? As you're involving everybody as part of it. The nature of the IT product, reimagining how it's going to look like, right? So again, it's critical in these all steps are really critical in evolving your API journey as you go along your community journey. Does this make sense? Yes, no, maybe. Any questions so far? All right. So we talked about the importance of focusing on the consumer, and that it is a great time to start introducing that user-centered design. So it is essentially so user-centered design is just something which is an iterative design process. So the design teams can use these variety of design techniques, and the goal is to really nail the product, make sure it is built for the target consumers, and at the end of the day they'll simply love it, right? So the goal is creating a highly usable product from this user-centric approach. uh, and here you can see all different kinds of phases, and just keep following these steps, and hopefully your ACM communities, community portals will have the look and feel your consumers will love. And another part which is really critical is making sure that you have multidisciplinary teams, right? So it is a critical ingredient in your user-centric design. So we got a snapshot of different roles here that you want to think about and how, but it also goes without saying that you should have a great consumer, I mean the target consumers involved, as well as just so they can evaluate and they are happy with it using uh, using your portal. If your consumers are happy with it, and if they want to use it, and if there are any gaps and anything missing, if they are able to provide the feedback and you are able to incorporate that feedback, that is when they are happy, right? So another important thing to mention is that as it goes into production, uh, do you monitor and see what happens? So, because if consumers need some behavioral change, then that's where you need to make the change, correct? So, it is really important to continuously monitor as you move forward as well. So, that is again one key important part of involving all the multidisciplinary teams here. So we talked about multidisciplinary teams which are in place. What's next, right? So you need to now start thinking about your API consumer journey. So at first, it might seem that, okay, why do I need to really do this? Or what does it actually mean when it comes to the digital products, right? So I'll break it down. One thing I want to quickly highlight here is if you want to learn more in terms of defining those user personas, uh, journey mapping, and so on and so forth, we just have to be very handy here. We have developing a winning strategy white paper. You can just refer to this document. This is created by one of our leaders, Stephen Fishman. So again, if you want to really go into a lot of depth and understand how you define those phases and what constitutes as part of these phases in terms of the API consumer journey, then please go ahead and refer to this document. I just want to bring it to life by bringing this up. Right. So something we all are able to relate to, right? As an example, let's say we go to a hardware store for shopping and look for some paints. Recently, we bought a home here. That's what I did. I just went ahead and I was trying to shop for the paints, and uh, just compare that to your API journey here, consumer journey on your ACM portal, right? So let's start from the beginning here. Uh, we have a top hardware store and store journey in the top, and the bottom you have the API community journey. So first things first, you can be discovering that the shop is on the high streets and looking what's around it. Similarly, you will be looking around for all different kinds of APIs that are out there and choosing what you want from it, and that's a part of discovery and learning, right? Next is you are able to envision and experiment now, right? So going back to the hardware store example, we are looking at different colors here, thinking the room will with this particular paint looks nice, as and asking around the store, asking a representative here what kind of paints are much better here, what gives the better finish, and things like that, right? You really want to go and inquire how those work and what's that most desirable product out there, right? On the API consumer journey side in the ACM portal, you could be looking for those different products as well. Is it one API or multiple APIs? What kind of use cases can be solved with this product? You can ask questions in forums like, hey, I have a technical question, or I want to understand the pricing better, so on and so forth. You can just get involved as part of the forum and inquire more options over there, right? And as part of the developing and troubleshooting, going back to the journey above, you could be looking at a trial size, for example, to see the look and feel of it. If I go to the hardware store, I would get a sample paint to just get that look and feel of it, right? So some of the developer portals you can first uh, so it is again the developer portals you have is it's same thing like the exchange, right? Starting your mocking service, understanding the behavior, see as much responses as you can, and if everything looks good, you can go ahead and request the access to the sandbox API, and you can start experimenting and build as well on top of it, correct? And then as
Uh,
part of the deploy and monitor phase.
Hema,
Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
have a quick question?
Uh-huh.
I think the analogy that you're trying to make in here is comparing the API consumer journey with what we see typically when we go for
That
shopping,
is
right?
correct.
And
That
trying
is
to
correct.
map the same kind of journey. So basically, you're trying to say if a developer is shopping for an API, it's the same exact experience as if I'm going to shop for my clothes or something in the store,
Exactly.
right? And that's
Exactly.
how we
Yes,
think about building our API communities, is to think about it as a shopping store, that we should provide all the capabilities a shopper would need in order to have a successful end-to-end experience. Am I correct?
that is correct. Absolutely correct, Jimmy.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as part of the deploy and monitor phase, going back to the hardware store journey, right? That making a purchase, let's say paint for your living room, then you see the finish of it, then you say, yes, I want that particular paint and I want to paint it, right? So, in this journey, you can now do a POC. It's fantastic, and you purchase the API as API product, and now let's build something else, right? And if you see any issues, then that's where you go and give the feedback. You go ahead and talk about that, right? Lastly, uh, it's about learning and evolving, right? Now as part of your journey about everything is now fantastic, right? Yeah, I will recommend this product. I love this paint. I go ahead and recommend this product to somebody else who is a new home buyer. Similarly, I'll recommend this API product to somebody else, and I'll say, hey, this API product is really good, you should go ahead and try it. So that kind of a feedback I can provide in the forums as well. And you can rate your APIs as well, right? And similarly, you can share that great feedback in the API community, overall making it a highly engaging API ecosystem to collaborate. And there are other things as well, right? Oh, this is great to solve my use case. Somebody will know that, hey, somebody solved this use case. I can also go ahead and resolve, use this for my use case as well, right? And maybe modify a little bit so it can accommodate my use case. So I really needed these data fields and all these services that I should do. So it's really going to help you evolve and mature the API products as well. Based on the feedback, you can actually go ahead and update your APIs or build more APIs for your users, right? Any questions on this one?
I'm tabling all the questions for you, Hema, in the Q&A session. So
Sure,
yeah, don't worry about
sure.
this one.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you. So if you do want to take your developer experience portal to the next level, then something I think about is the UX honeycomb. So this is a widely accepted standard around for UX design and experience. The whole point is to really find the sweet spot in the different areas, that you think, feel, and use, right? And that's what will give you the target consumers really a fantastic user experience. And again, if you are interested in more of this, there is a material out there. um, but if you want to do a session, then we can explore more on that as well. And something that is very critical, right? We have everything in place, but what about the audiences, right? Community audiences. So we mentioned about this importance of who your target users will be, but you have to recognize that not all users will be the same, right? They wear different hats and they have different goals as well. And breaking it down, who is really going to be the buyer, or who is the innovator or the developer, or why do they care, right? Why do they really need this? Is this really like what's going to help them? So for this consumer, is this the journey that should reflect? So to make it all the tailored thinking about their needs is what's going to help, right? So as an example, we have some of the key actors here. API buyer, for example, naturally they are looking to kind of see that a profit that they can generate from an investment or so on and so forth, right? So they do not want to make any risk. And when it comes to the edge scenarios, so the innovator on the flip side, right, they want to be having a creative freedom, they want to be flexible, they want to build things out. And just thinking about all these different actors and different personas here, how they will use the portal. So that's going to be the key for a fruitful journey for each of them, and that's when it will draw audiences to your portals. And the last thing in this particular section is, as you are thinking about these different user types and different user stories, that is what will feed into how your structure will look like, right? So see, we have defined at the starting point, and we change as per the recommendation, right? And see how the site structure looks like at that particular moment. And another thing is really, really helpful is breaking it down, the look of each page, and see you can start using wireframes as well, and think about uh, what do they want to see and how do they want to actually present this, right? So if they're going to home page, so what do they see in the home page, right? So on so forth. You just have to have those site structures and wireframes in place, so it makes a smooth journey for your consumer to browse through your portal. And another key aspect of ACM is operating model. So probably you're already familiar with, currently in your API ecosystem, a way to increase collaboration and maximize reuse and things like that, that can be achieved through Exchange, right? And Exchange is a critical element in that. So in terms of consistency, when you're creating your API spec, you can publish that to the Exchange. You're all familiar with that, right? And actually, as you evolve your IT operating model, right? We always think about center for enablement, correct? So it's a way to really maximize the reuse, and you can make sure people are aware that there are different roles. For example, API developer, C4E architect, technical writer, so on and so forth, right? So these are all the things that we should be familiar with. And as you evolve your API ecosystem, and uh, as you start your ACM journey, we need to really think about the operating model around it, right? So there are certain new roles that may have been introduced in API community manager. So that doesn't mean that it is altogether a new person here, right? It could be someone again who are able to do both the roles here. But I just want to highlight some of the changes here. A new role could be an API product manager here, who is actually a person in charge of those API products. You can also have a program manager, right? And program managers are very critical, as they essentially see the overall vision of the community, and they are the ones who evangelize, right? All the great benefits, and they can see through that eye where API community can flourish, right? So I'll go a little more detail into API program managers on the next slide, but they're really critical to make sure that the consumers are successful as well, right? So of course, to make the community better, you need to have a community operator as well, and the community builder to make the look and feel better. And when it comes to setup and refresh, those sort of things, right? So and just to highlight the differences between the Exchange and API Community Manager, it is really thinking about those tailored custom experiences for those specific user types, and make it really exciting, more focused, and bring in more products. And it is not just any type of asset, like enabler, direct or indirect, but it is really about thinking about the higher levels of APIs and adding more business values to um, uh, that can lead to the monetization as well.
Matt, some clarification in here. I don't think we need, like, nobody should be scared by the number of roles here listed. You don't need to hire 6 or 7 new people to your organization. This team should be already existing as part of your C4E team. And a lot of
Right.
time, and I have seen it many times with our customers, that sometimes a single person wears two, three, four hats, right? They assume different roles. So those here, we're not talking about individuals, we're talking about roles. So could be maybe 2, 3 person can do most of the work, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely, Jimmy. Absolutely. Now, going back to the API program manager that I talked about in the earlier slide, right? So they are critical and to make sure your community is successful, right? And you can see the whole set of different things in terms of what they need to coordinate. For example, anything from marketing, from internal to external, and so on and so forth, right? But it is important to call out that they are not responsible for all of it and or delivering all of it, right? They are responsible for driving and coordinating with different teams to make sure that everything comes together and they can work together, right? So it is not possible that one single individual can do everything from scratch. They need to lean on the wider organization, and that is what is critical for the community to become successful, right? So we talked about API program manager and his responsibilities. Coming back to the roles we talked about in the ACM new operating model, I just want to break it down again to make it a little more easier to digest. At the top, you will see all the different type of roles, specifically focused on your API products. Let's say there is a product team A, which will have technical writer, API developer, and API product manager. So that API product manager will look after the payments API, order API, so on and so forth. Product team B, they are looking after a different API here. So these are the API product related roles. But also you need to have roles that are thinking about the actual community, actual platform itself, right? The day-to-day operations, the tool, the look and feel. So you can see community builder is a person responsible for setting up the community, thinking about the branding, customization, and so on and so forth, right? Whenever there is a refresh, uh, are we going to upgrade the branding, right? So these are some of the things that the community builder should be looking after, right? And API product manager is again has a big vision of what you want to achieve, coordinating with those different teams. And if you don't have one, it could be someone like C4 lead, kind of similar to that. That should be fine, like how Jimmy mentioned, right? Coming to the day-to-day operations, again, if you have any things to address or update, uh, or maybe if you want to work out in a different way and things like that, those are the ones which will be uh, taken care by your operations, your day-to-day operations. Haley, yes, my screen is shared. Are you
Um,
able to see the screen?
if you cannot see the sharing, please log out and come back in. That should fix the problem.
All right.
Hey, may you stop sharing?
Yes, I am sharing again. Are you guys able to see?
Now we can see the whole window. Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
the whole desktop. I mean,
All right. Yeah. Uh, so, in terms of different jobs, right? Uh, it is more critical. So we think about more critical things first, and it gives different. It gives that particular snapshot of those different levels of things to think about and relate to building an API ecosystem and creating really important assets, right? Again, API program manager is the one who maintains the vision and makes sure every time these things are addressed, and someone is responsible for that as well, right? All right. And the last thing that I want to touch upon here is, depending on the role you have different responsibilities. And when it comes to the information that you share, so if you are a technical developer, technical writer, then you can help define the business context, technical documentation that is related to the wider business context. Similarly, if you are the community operator, things like, now you have a new sign in, there are they can share that information and all that. And also the business lead and API product manager, if there is a consumer specific information or so on and so forth. The whole idea is to think about what kind of role is responsible for what kind of level of information and who is the target user for it, right? With that said, I have my demo aligned. I will show some high level features of the ACM demo. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, just a quick reminder for everyone, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat and I will table them for the Q&A session after the demo. Thank you.
Yeah. Give me a second. Let me log in first. All right. So this is my home page. This is how it will look and feel. You can see the APIs in the API console. You can see the not just the APIs but also the API groups here. If you go ahead and click on the API details, for example, you can see the API documentation here. Again, this is sourced from the exchange. How you can consume it will have all the so this exact page is sourced from exchange. Then you have API console where you can actually go ahead and test your, yeah, mock your APIs, right? I just want to make sure. All right, so you can go ahead and select your mocking service to test. You can pass the client ID secret. You can exactly do the same things what you have in Exchange. Um, However, once you are logged in, then you should be able to request access for this particular API. Let me go to the APIs. Um, Hold on a second. So this is my home page. This is my order status API. Yeah, you can see that we have request access enabled for this particular API. So you can go ahead and request access, but in order to do request access first, you need to actually register to this particular portal. Right now, I'm already logged in into my portal, and that's why I'm able to see this request access button for this. Now, when you request access button for this, when you request access for this particular order API, that means you have already tested this order API. You really like the order API. You wanted to use this order API. That's when you go ahead and request access to it. So you get the client ID secret credentials once the request is approved. So this is a sandbox instance. Right now it is in a freemium tier, 800 requests. uh, per minute. You can create a new client application over here. You can give the name HEMA virtual meetup test, and you can click on request. So this will be available for approval in your API manager, where you can go ahead and approve this particular request. And that's when we'll allow you to actually have the instance create client app created for you. All right. Okay, so something has changed over here. I need to really go back and check. We have to give some redirect URLs, but this is how you actually uh, click on the request and the request will be sent out. That is your home page. And under the home page as well, right, you have additional information like where you can do the community discussions. You have latest news console here where you can actually view what's going on when this is published. You can see there are some additional informations as well where you can ask question, you can contact the support. um, you can become part of the forums here by asking the questions, and there is some additional information on the page as well where you can go ahead and read, so you can become part of that community, right? When you go to the APIs, this is where you can actually see all the list of APIs that have been hosted to your ACM portal. This is your API catalog per se, and you can actually search by your different APIs over here, or you can also have a filter based on different types of APIs here. If you have categorized your APIs as distribution APIs, I'm only getting three different APIs which are part of the distribution. Uh, if I have everything selected, then all the APIs are listed. If I'm selecting only retail, my retail API is being displayed. So you can actually filter based on the categories as well. Under the my applications, the one that I requested, so this is something that I requested in the past. It shows here. Once it is approved, you can actually view this particular client application. It will give you enough information on it also gives the metrics around how many requests you have made, how many instances have been created, what are the API contracts that are available. Right now, this is pending status. It is not showing that it is approved. It is not approved. That's why. Sorry. Mm. And so that is one thing. Then you have news section over here. In this news section, you can follow the latest news of the portal. Anything that you publish here, that will be like upcoming APIs, maybe that is one other topic. You can actually put it up and let your community users go through the news and participate in the discussions around this. There is a blog that is available as well where you can actually go ahead and write up some blogs as well. Right now, we do not have anything available here in this trial in this instance. um, Again, there is forum as well, right, where you can actually like somebody else's questions and answers. You can share, you can answer to the questions somebody has. You can also contact the support, you can create cases. You can do a lot of stuff here as well, and you can only do this if you are registered member. Otherwise, you won't be able to participate in the forums. And if we actually go back to the Lightning experience, this is how these are the assets that are available in Exchange as of today in our instance. And you can actually add these particular APIs to your catalog, API catalog. In this particular page, you can filter certain APIs that you want to only filter on. So because Exchange can have hundreds of assets, right? So it will display all those hundreds of assets here. You can search by those, you can search by the asset type, you can search by the category over here, different business groups for examples. You can also search by the different status of the APIs. And when you click on add, you can actually add your assets here, and you can see that these five assets have been added to the API catalog. Whatever is added over here, those are the ones which will be displayed on your API console. And right now, the visibility is for everyone, right? You can control this visibility of from your catalog by going to the manage visibility and say, make this APIs visible to only members, make these APIs visible to only administrators. So you can control the visibility over here. You can also control the instances visibility to only public or all instances. Um and there is a shortcut menu here where you can actually go to different CMS contents. You can go to different navigations as shortcuts from here. When you publish your site, you can go to your preview your site and view that. If you have a lot of APIs that you have uh, put up in your catalog, then you can also search for that particular asset here. Now, how do you manage your members, right? You can go to the member management tab, and this is where you can manage your members. So I told you about forums, right? If you go ahead and log out, it will actually show you a registration page. When somebody tries to register as a user over here, you can see the pending members registration here. Under this tab, you can choose to approve or reject. Once you approve, the member will get a link so they can actually set their password up and they can log in into the portal. And so these are the current members that you see. You can enable or disable those current members as well. And there is a diagnostics page where you can actually go ahead and when you have the troubleshooting issues, then this is the page where you go, and you can look into different areas where you have issues with. So the green checks that you are seeing, those are all doing well now. There is no issue with this particular steps here. If you have any issues, then it will actually show it up in red. Um, there is a guided setup. You can follow the guided setup to, yeah. So when we actually installed ACM, this is where you can actually go ahead and use the guided setup where it tells you that the setup is complete. You can go to the diagnostics. Again, it takes you to the page. This is where you can see if anything is going wrong. This is a place where you can troubleshoot. You can open your community from here. You can open the builder from here. If you open the builder, it shows the builder page where you actually that's the backbone of your entire ACM pages over there, right? So now we are in a build mode. Right now, this is my API carousel where I have added the APIs. You can add more APIs. This is my another API carousel where we are saying discover your APIs. You can go to different components here and explore those components here. Um, the page structure. You can go to the API carousel. There are some features here that you can add, filters here that you can add. You can go to the settings, you can go to the themes, you can change the themes. So it comes with pre-built themes, a lot of pre-built themes. You can also configure the layouts here. Um, yeah, I can also do some custom coding as well, custom CSS style sheeting as well. Edit CSS. This is where you can have your custom style sheets inbuilt, where you can override the existing code as well. I think that's all I have for today. Any questions from this demo today?
I have collected a couple of questions. Let's table them for the Q&A session, Hema. But thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you
Um,
very much, everyone.
yeah, thank you. I hope it was helpful for our audience. Again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to post them in the chat and we will answer them. Uh, Hema, you are muted.
So
Hema is
Jimmy,
you.
yeah, yeah. So Jimmy, I want to share the roadmap as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. All right. So from the roadmap perspective, we have uh, currently thought about releasing something called as AEH. Uh, so as part of Q2, our product is actually working on the development and validation. But before that, let me give you some background here on the roadmap itself, right? So with ACM, we have had some challenges with our customers during the installation because this overall demo that I did now, it's basing on the Salesforce org. Now, that Salesforce org is something that and working through those lightning components actually requires Salesforce knowledge as well. So this is something that customers have come back to us and have given us feedback, and our product team has considered that and has been working on a next generation ACM, which is called as API Experience Hub. And what it means is it actually enables the customers to build a self-service API experiences for their developers, uh, partners, and customers very quickly. And it still continues to build on the Salesforce Experience Cloud. However, to start with AEH journey, you don't really need to have the Salesforce knowledge as opposed to the ACM. And out of the box, our customers have asked for many modern themes, many modern templates and components as well, and that has become part of AEH now. Um, and as part of Q2, right, our product team is actually working on the development and validation. So we are working on recruiting the pilot customers to help with migration process overall and testing and validation at this point in time. And in Q3, the product will be ready with for our pilot customers with the first round of features like the new guided UI. There are new templates. There are some upgraded components as well. And this new product is new generation product, I would say, is scheduled to be released in Q1 FY24, specifically April. It's released to be scheduled during then. Additional features like profile-based visibility, which a lot of customers are asking as of today, the dashboards, monitoring, and compliance. So these are some of the items which are scheduled for FY24 and beyond. With that said, I will hand it over to Jimmy.
Perfect. Thank you, Hema. It's really glad that we had this kind of next generation of ACM where we actually listen to a lot of our customers' concerns and requests for improvement. So looking forward to that. As we, I'll jump to the next section of this meetup, but I don't think we need the recording for that. So I'm gonna stop the recording here and I'll move on.